From Joe Biden giving money to terrorists to the January 6th committee actively admitting that the trials were just for show, we have a jam-packed show, so without further ado, let's dig in.
Facts over tracks, isn't that spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
In recent news, the governor of Massachusetts, which is a Democrat, just signed an executive order disobeying the Supreme Court of Massachusetts and allowing people to kill their kids over the counter for any reason they want to. This situation is stupid for many reasons, the main one being that she does not care about human life whatsoever. And I don't know if it's because of the fact that she cannot have kids because she's a lesbian, or because of the fact that she is old as hell and she lost her fertility about 50 years ago. Nonetheless, whichever way you slice it, she still has no regard for human life, and it's disgusting. I saw this exact thing on Instagram the other day and I went to comment my objection to it. And that's when everything went downhill for the liberals in the comment section, one of which DM'd me and told me that they hope my daughter gets raped, which is disgusting. What is more disgusting is that she works at a preschool named Magical Beginnings Learning Center in Massachusetts. So let's reach out to the Learning Center to find out if this is actually somebody that they would like to teach 4 months to 4 years old. And I guess she is an EEC teacher, according to her LinkedIn page. Let's give the preschool a call and see exactly if this was the person that they would love to be handling other people's kids, especially if she's calling for other people's kids to be raped.
Thank you for calling Magical Beginnings Learning Centers. To reach your child's classroom, you can enter their classroom extension at any time.
Hello, so my name is Demetrius Arujo. I'm reaching out from Arujo Studios, and I have one of your teachers here with a message saying that she would like my daughter to be raped. I'm just concerned because I found out that she works for your school, and I'm concerned about other people's sons and daughters, and I'm concerned about their safety now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a feeling this is a scam call.
This is absolutely not. I have one of your teachers. She is an EEC teacher. Her name is Catalina Di Martino. I saw her on Instagram. She actually DM'd me. I have the messages to prove it, and I'm just concerned.
I don't have an employee here with that name.
Catalina Di Martino, because she says on LinkedIn that she works for your school.
Catalina? No, we also have 7 locations.
So she works for the one, she listed this location on her LinkedIn, Magical Beginnings Learning Centers.
Yeah, we don't have anybody at this particular school.
Okay,
with that name. Can you spell her name for me?
Yep, so her name is Catina. Her last name is...
Sorry, one moment. C-A-T...
Yeah. I-N-A.
I-N-A. Katina.
So her last name is D-I-M-A-R-T-I-N-O.
And you saw her on social media?
Yeah, so she actually DM'd me herself, and she said that, and I have the messages here, let me just refer to them, so I'm not misquoting her in any way. So she said, quote, "I hope when you have a daughter, she gets raped and she ends up pregnant, and you guys live somewhere in Texas where you can't get an abortion, and she finds out she's pregnant, go F yourself."
What? And what is your name?
My name is Demetrius Arujo.
I can take your information and do some research, but there's nobody here under this particular school that works here by that name.
Okay. I'm just concerned here because she does have you guys listed in her LinkedIn. I was just being a concerned citizen for other people's kids because we do not want a teacher like that teaching 4 months to 6 months. 6-year-old kids. That's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. And I will take this information and give it to our external office and our manager and see if there's any relevance to that employee. It is often that people just put places where they work that isn't actually accurate.
Okay. I hope so because at one time she said that she works for the government. At another time, I see on her LinkedIn that she works somewhere different. I hope that this is the case because, like you were saying too, it's very concerning, especially when she works with little kids. And
you don't know her? She just randomly reached out to you?
Yeah, exactly. She just randomly reached out to me and she started a conversation, and I guess it ended up like that for some reason. I'm not sure why. I do have the full transcript just in case you guys needed it, but that conversation had nothing, like that sentence had nothing to do with the conversation we were having.
Okay, that's fine. Are you able to email that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Perfect. I'll put that right in the subject. And I'll label the subject with her name. And then I'll just include the full transcript and then the transcript of what I actually repeated to you.
Yeah, thank you for letting us know. And obviously that is something that we do take very seriously. We do have 7 locations, but at this particular school, I know for sure I do not have any employees with that name.
Okay.
So I can definitely do some research and see what's going on and get back to you.
Okay, perfect. Then thank you so much for your help. Okay, so I really do hope that she does not work for this school system. I mean, like I said, it's very, very concerning when it comes down to involving other people's daughters, involving other people's sons in a discussion when you are having a debate with somebody, I guess. I mean, this conversation had obviously nothing to do with that. And instead of her listing her sources and just saying, listen, I disagree with you vehemently, and I would like to combat you in a free and open dialogue, she instead brings up my daughter, brings up a son that potentially I don't have, but hypothetically I could have. So this is just disgusting, like I said, but I will update you guys exactly when I find out if she does work for this school system, if she does not work for this school system, because this is disgusting. We actually have a Federalist article. We have January 6th committee actually saying that the show trials or the January 6th trials were actually just a show trial just for election year publicity stunt purposes. Now, this is actually very disgusting, not only because of the fact that people have spent their lives in jail because of this showing, as they like to call it, but also because of the fact that we just wasted our lives invested in this case, in cases, just because of the fact that they just wanted to put on a show trial. It's disgusting. They should not be allowed to do this. So, key members of the January 6th committee admit in a PBS documentary that the operation was an election year publicity stunt. So, key members of the since disbanded select committee on January 6th admit in a new PBS documentary that the entire operation was an election year publicity stunt. On Wednesday, Frontline PBS published a new documentary, Democracy on Trial, chronicling the House Committee's work. Pivotal players on the partisan probe conceded in the 2.5-hour documentary that the panel's public performances produced for prime television were orchestrated as entertainment. The one thing that we knew was the information that we have is compelling, said Illinois Congressman turned CNN contributor Adam Killinger. The thing we needed to do was to tell the American people in a compelling way. It's just stupid. The January 6th committee turned to former ABC News president James Goldston to produce their hearings that occurred just months before the 2022 midterms. The panel also hired another producer whose resume included stints at Bloomberg, ABC News, Nightline, and Good Morning America. I got pretty much out of the blue from the January 6th committee. I got a call pretty much out of the blue from the January 6th committee, Goldston told the documentary. They wanted a storyteller. While they were brilliant lawyers, Goldston added storytelling for a mass audience is not what they do. To bring in a guy like this who would think outside the box really did prove to be fruitful. Robert Damper of New York Times Magazine tells the PBS documentarians it was Goldston who really begun to envision this as a kind of ministries that there would be sort of 9 episodes and that these episodes would tackle particular themes, which is the most broad statement that I have ever heard. The first episode in the summer series ultimately pulled dismantle ratings, despite the committee's biggest fans attempting to encourage viewership with few free ice cream watch parties months before the season's premiere. House Democrats conceded that committee's investigation was central to the party's plans to maintain the majority in November midterms. The January 6th committee faces a thorny challenge. Read a March 2022 headline from the Washington Post, persuading the public to care. The article continued, they hope their recommendations to prevent another insurrection would be adopted, but also that their work will repel voters from Republicans who they say helped propel the attack. The Soviet-style committee eventually became the legacy project for ousted Wyoming Rep. Liz Cheney, who served as vice chair of the panel. By August, Cheney's futile bid for re-election among one of the nation's most conservative electorates was categorized as kamikaze campaign by New York Magazine. Cheney overwhelmingly lost her effort for a fourth term and published a memoir last December. In the book, Cheney reflected on the committee's hiring of Goldston to dramatize the hearings to boost Democrats' electoral prospects. He came on board and brought with him a number of individuals with years of experience in network news. Cheney wrote, Goldston and his team were exponentially helpful in facilitating that type of presentation, and our outline for each hearing, which took the form of a trial presentation, closely paralleled that structure, which is just disgusting. So the whole entire fact of this being just a show trial is just utterly disgusting to me. I mean, not only, like I said at the beginning, not only because people lost their years of their life in jail, but also because of the fact that they're using this for political gain. Now, how many times do Democrats have to use things like this for political gain for the mainstream people or the citizens of the United States more broadly to actually say, what else are they using for political gain? Everything. They're using everything for political gain. And Republicans can't use one thing for political gain. That's stupid. Moving on to the next Federalist article, we actually have Joe Biden keeps rewarding the terrorists. Now, we already know that Joe Biden actually unfroze a bunch of Iranian money that the United States had a hold of. They unfroze it, and then they gave it to Iran, and then this is exactly what Iran does with the money. So, I mean, we already knew all this, but let's dig into the article here. Peace is for suckers. Even as Israelis were rooting out the barbaric child murderers and rapists of Hamas, Joe Biden was trying to bully the Jewish state into repaying the Palestinians with a new state. Now the State Department is rapidly fast-tracking recognition of an independent Arab state, which is not only promises to envelop Israel in a three-front terror fight, but also pull the United States into a needless quagmire. Then again, for Biden, rewarding terrorists is a matter of policy. If this administration, for instance, had explicitly promised to help Iran enhance its position in the Middle East, what would it have done differently? Only a few days after inauguration, Biden brought back Arab Mali to spearhead negotiations with the Islamic State. Now, there are many problems with Mali, but the biggest one is that he negotiates for Ali Khamenei rather than the United States. And I don't mean that this is in some abstract political sense. The administration might be infiltrated with Obama retrends, but who are needly interested in making Iran a regional power that can curb Israel and Saudi Arabia. But Mali, now under investigation for mishandling classified documents assembled by a team that literally, we have the emails, promised to help the Islamic State. Talk about foreign collusion. It is stupefying that this subversion isn't a massive story. One of Iranian's moles still work at the Pentagon. Iran had spent decades kidnapping and murdering Americans, so a month after Mali's hiring, the Biden administration took Iranians' proxies, the Houthis, off the State Department for terror designation list. Then, as Obama did, Biden released billions to strengthen and terrorizing terror regime and its Revolutionary Guard. It wasn't just ransom. Iranians supposedly under U.S. and EU sanctions were able to boost oil production to a 5-year high last year, which amounts to an extra $10 billion, which is just disgusting. All this did was incentivize Iran to further destabilize the region. Iranian proxies have attacked American troops at least 151 times during the Biden years. Last week, 3 United States soldiers were murdered by the regime. Add those lives to the over 600 servicemen murdered by Iran over the past 20 years. The White House spent the week propping up the president and discussing how we were going to respond. At the same time, they stressed, quote, "We don't want war with Iran. Of course we don't want war, but we don't need to sound like a pathetic middling power. But I don't care if you're a neocon, an isolationist, or anything in between. There needs to be repercussions for murdering Americans. Tehran should be terrified of what comes next. I doubt they are." I completely agree. Iran is not terrified of what is going to come from America because, just like I said in yesterday's show, all Joe Biden said this whole entire time was don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. Nobody cares about your don't. When you actually make policy and say, no, if you do this, then this will happen. Don't just say don't. Nothing happens when you just say don't because there's no repercussions for doing so. And while Biden was boosting Iran's fortunes, he was also empowering their allies in Hamas. Donald Trump bypassed the intraceable Palestinians, giving Israel space to make peace with the most sunny Arab world. Iran was increasingly isolated and weakened. The first thing the Biden administration did was place the Palestinians at the center of the Middle East policymaking. Biden overturned Trump-era policy, releasing hundreds of millions of dollars of funding to UNRWA in the Palestinians. At the time, Anthony Blinken claimed that it was critical for Israeli-Palestinian understanding, security coordination, and stability. Really? He might as well have written some checks directly out to Hamas. United Nations employees in Gaza, whom Washington had long known were actively assisting the terror group, directly participated in killing Jews on October 7th, including people often seem to forget 30 United States citizens. At least half of the United States staff in Gaza attached to organizations designated terrorists by the United States government. Indeed, any, quote, independent Palestinian territory is going to be a terror state. History is remarkably clear on this point. Even the PLO, propped up by the Western aid and Israeli security in the West Bank, hasn't been able to hold a real election in over a decade because Islamists would inevitably take control. I completely agree because you can even see that the election places that they used to have in Gaza, Hamas just took over and is using it for either self-gain or what they're doing is they just have it vacant because they don't need that space for elections anyway because they don't have elections. If Israel can't stop weapons from infiltrating Gaza now, what does the situation look like when it's dealing with a, quote, independent state? What does it look like when Iran becomes a nuclear power? What does it look like when Islamic Jihad, or whatever group pops up to take its place, begins lobbying rockets at civilians? Israel will be compelled to act. Next time, it will be invading a territory recognized as a sovereign state by the United States. To ally these fears, the State Department promises it will only move forward with, quote, real security guarantees for Israel. We are in no position to offer security assistances to Israel. What is the United States going to do if there's another October 7th? Are we going to send in troops and build a democracy in Ramallah? We can't even close our own borders. The Biden administration, in fact, already opposes the creation of a security buffer zone within Gaza to prevent more attacks. One of the most preposterous positions of the Western foreign policy experts states that if the Palestinians only had a state, there would be peace in the Middle East. There is no evidence of this whatsoever. When Jordan and Egypt controlled the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, Palestinians still attacked the Jews. The Palestinians, the Iranians, in the facility of Harvard, the New York Times newsroom, the Squad, in the growing pro-Hamas Democrat voting bloc view of Israel as occupied territory. Now, there are those like the president who maintain that the people of Gaza aren't responsible for the actions of Hamas, even though most polls find that overwhelming support for violent Islamic fundamentalism, fine. If that's really the case, then there should be no problem asking the Palestinians to take the next 5 to 10 years to build a civilization that proves that it could peacefully live with its neighbors, like hundreds of other ethnic minorities in the world who don't have to benefit of the world's attraction. Then again, maybe if they started blowing up Jews, the West would propose giving them a state as well. And I completely agree with this whole entire thing, because as long as you attack the Jewish people, people are fine with it. People are saying, "Oh no. Actually, if you look at Hamas right here in Gaza, Gaza is actually doing this because they killed a bunch of people and murdered a bunch of people and raped a bunch of people. That's okay because there's a history of conflict within the Middle East. It's okay. It's okay." When has it ever been okay to kill thousands of people, rape thousands of people, take them out out of their house, bring them to central Gaza and rape them and keep them hostage just because there was conflict in the history of the country? It doesn't make any sense here. Just because there was conflict in, let's just say, Africa, or let's just say China with another country, it doesn't mean that China is now going to go and take revenge on that other country years and years and hundreds of years later. It doesn't make any sense here. With that being said, we do have another segment.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that are happening abroad, and we need to make sure that we are focusing on American companies first and foremost. That's exactly why we need to support independent journalism that is taking place right here in America. That's exactly why I love shop.orijostudios.com, which is my studio company, by the way. We sell tumblers like this, or vessels to keep your Common Sense Isn't Common branded water, all at 15% off if you use code New Year. You can get free shipping at the link down below everywhere in America, because America is the best country. To the first article we actually have, which is a CNN article. Sticking right in, we have Trump's critics hope that Scalia can sway the Supreme Court in 14th Amendment fight. So a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Trump can be on the ballot on this day, and Trump can be on the ballot in this day. Well, but if he did this and that, then he can be on the ballot. If he did this and this, then he can't not be on the ballot. No. It's not what the 14th Amendment says. And we already went over the 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment in which they are listing here is 14th Amendment, Section 3. No person shall be senator, representative in Congress, or elector of president and vice president, or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States, or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress, or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state, to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in an insurrection or a rebellion against the same, or given aid to comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. So, if anybody is so concerned about Trump not being able to run for president under the 14th Amendment, I think that they should just hold a vote right here and right now to actually see if he can run it and if he cannot run. But also at the same exact time, it says that they need to be charged for an insurrection. Trump, if you remember, was never charged for an insurrection. Therefore, the 14th Amendment, the whole entire thing that CNN is saying right now, would not even stand at all because he was not even charged for an insurrection. It does not make much sense whatsoever. So, moving right into the next article, because we're just going to completely ignore that because it's not based on reality and facts, so we're going to skip that. So, we do have another CNN article, though. We have man accused of killing Massachusetts nurse, whose body was found in an airport garage, is arrested in Kenya. So they tried to escape the country, and they tried to escape the repercussions of their actions, but at the same exact time, they are found because your passport and you are tracked no matter where you go, so this person is just stupid beyond belief. I mean, if you do not remember this case, it's just a stupid case. He was Googling all of the things that he wanted to do, like, how to bury a body, how to disinfect the body, how to clean up blood off the floor, how to do this, how to do that, at 1 o'clock in the morning using his son's iPad. So they were just following all these search results, and it's just ridiculous how he thought that they were not going to be able to see the search results. Doesn't make any sense here. Even if you're on incognito, they can still see your search results. So this person's just stupid. A man has been arrested in Kenya in connection of killing a Massachusetts woman whose body was found inside of a car in a parking garage of a Boston airport in November, state officials said. Kenyan authorities on Monday arrested Kevin. I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name. A Boston area man who the United States investigators believe kills Margaret Maggie before flying from Boston to Kenya, the Massachusetts State Police said. The body of Mitiu, a 31-year-old nurse who investigators say had a relationship with Kinthy, was found at a garage at Boston Logan International Airport on November 1st, 2 days after she was reported missing by state police. Suffolk County District Attorney Kevin Hayden thanked the United States State Department, the FBI, and the state police and the Kenyan government and law enforcement agencies for facilitating the arrest. Their tremendous efforts will provide Margaret's family and friends with the opportunity to see Kevin's face justice for this terrible crime. Hayden said in a release, the week of her killing, an arrest warrant was issued for killing a Lawrence resident who had already boarded a flight to Kenya when investigators determined he was a suspect, police said. King Kinthy is being held in Narrabri awaiting extraction to Boston, where he will face trial, Massachusetts State Police said on Tuesday. Kenya has an extraction treaty with the United States. CNN contracted the Massachusetts State Police to ask for additional information. After she was reported missing, investigators were led to Mibuju's boyfriend, Wangthi, according to a criminal complaint from state police obtained by CNN's affiliate WFXT. License plate recognition cameras had picked up the whereabouts of Kinthy's Toyota SUV, and it appeared consistent with the location of Mibuju's phone, according to the criminal complaint. Authorities tracked the vehicle from Laurel to the Logan Airport parking garage, where they found Mibuju dead in the front passenger seat with a slash and stab wounds on her face and neck, police say. Investigators learned that Kinthy, I can't even pronounce the name, sorry if I'm butchering it, has brought a plane ticket to Kenya the previous morning. State police said surveillance footage showed him leaving the parking garage and entering the airport terminal, where he booked a flight, police said. Police haven't announced a motive in Mibuju's death. Mibuju, a white Whitman, Massachusetts, was the youngest in the family of healthcare workers. Her two older sisters and her mother are all nurses. The family came to the United States from Kenya in 2007, and Maggie Mibuju earned a nursing degree from Curry College in Milton, Massachusetts. So yeah, obviously this is a very, very bad situation that he got himself into. There's a really bad situation and a really bad boyfriend that she got herself into. It's just disgusting. I just don't understand people's motives for doing this, but the motives don't really matter because there's no excuse for this behavior. So with that being said, we do have another article from the MSNBC, giant Clinton network of a media source we have here. I prosecuted Watergate and never feared for our democracy, but Greg Abbott has me worried. So this is from MSNBC. Like I said, I am not an alarmist by nature. From my time as prosecutor investigating the Watergate scandal, I have never doubted that the Justice Department would prevail or our democracy would survive. I never doubted that our nation would last until now. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's actions at the southern border and his reaction to the Supreme Court's decision in favor of the federal government make me fear for the continued existence of the United States of America. So does his signing of an expansive new law that gives the states law enforcement powers over immigration that rightly belong to the federal government. Okay, so now I'm going to stop you right there in your tracks. It does not make any sense what you are saying whatsoever, because you should open your eyes and actually go to the border in Arizona and go to the border in Texas and see all of the people that are coming through the border illegally. We have almost 5,000 people per week coming through illegally through the border and just walking right in here. And there's a case to say about legal immigration too, but we're not going to get there right now. We're going to look at where the majority of the things that are going wrong are happening, and that's the illegal immigration. Now, if these people are really coming through the border illegally, which they are, and they're bringing in all of this fentanyl and all of these drugs through the border, in which they are, then that is a massive problem, and Texas must hold accountable the federal government for doing its job to protect the United States of America. If it cannot protect the United States of America, then Texas has the authority to protect its citizens. It's the right in the Second Amendment to the states to have the federal government of the state protect its people, because its people are being attacked by foreign invasions. That's a foreign invasion, and you are not going to sit here and say that that's not a foreign invasion. 5,000 people coming through illegally per week, and then you're going to sit here and complain all the sanctuary states and all the sanctuary cities are saying, oh, well, we'll take in the illegal immigrants. Yeah, send them right over here. They don't have to deal with any of this because they don't have the illegal immigration like Texas and Arizona. And then you go to Texas and Arizona, and all of this crime is happening from illegal immigration. And then we send them back to their home country, and then what? And then they just come over here, and then they just start causing a ruckus again because of the fact that there was no repercussions the last time that they did something wrong. And all that happened was that they were sent back to their country, and then what? And then they come over illegally again, and what happens? That's what happens. It's a very stupid situation that MSNBC would really love to get into, and it does not make much sense at all. Not to Texas or any other state. They said that they cannot protect their life and their citizens' life. In fact, should the Supreme Court rule against the Biden administration's challenge to that law, that we would have consequences for every foreign policy, not just immigration policy. Okay, so now you're going to sit here and say that the Supreme Court's decision is the final say, and you can't do anything about the Supreme Court's decision. Yes, you can. Because Joe Biden is doing it himself with the Debt Forgiveness Act, because of the fact that he wants to forgive all of the student loans from people that are actually going to college or actually already got out of college. He wants to forgive their loans. And the Supreme Court said, no, you cannot do that with an executive order. And he's doing it anyway. So now you have a problem with Governor Abbott from protecting his citizens of the state. But now you don't have a problem with Joe Biden going against the Supreme Court and using billions of dollars of taxpayer funding to pay off the people's funding that they got loans for to go to school and to get a degree and to make hundreds of thousands of dollars every year with that degree. It doesn't make much sense here. Now, at the same exact time, we are taking up our anger with the wrong people. We need to make sure that we're taking up the anger with the college schools. The college schools are the ones charging the tuition to go to their schools, and they're the ones that are saying, oh no, you need to pay us this much money or else you don't get the piece of paper that you want to get. So if the piece of paper didn't cost so much money, you wouldn't even be complaining and trying to get this forgiven, because you would have no problem paying it off because the piece of paper is going to pay for itself. But obviously, when you're actually there and you're making that much money and you have the piece of paper, then you need to pay for the piece of paper. You need to pay for the house. You need to pay for another piece of paper, in which we call, your car. And you need the actual deed to your house paper. That's where you're paying off for your house. And now you need to pay for insurance and all that. So now you don't have as much money to put down and put towards your tuition as you would have liked to. Now you just want it to be forgiven, because now you're reaping all the benefits of that quote unquote piece of paper, the degree that you have there, the fancy little degree, because you are the professional, you are the scholar, you have the piece of paper that says that you're smart. So I guess that you are smart and you paid for the piece of paper. But now we, the taxpayer, are not going to pay for your piece of paper that you wanted to get. No, the piece of paper that you got, you're going to afford because you're the one that wanted the piece of paper to begin with. So, I mean, if I'm easy to follow, then I'm glad, because it's very, very easy to understand here. Now, we do have another article from the Daily Wire. We have ABC News host stops Gavin Newsom after he claims Biden has the best 3-year record of any other modern American presidency. Does not even make any sense. ABC News host Jonathan Karl stopped California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom on Sunday after he claimed that President Joe Biden had the, quote, best 3-year record of any American modern presidency. Newsom said that he was working to lift up the issues and successes, this extraordinary successes of the last 3 years, the Biden-Harris administration, and then we drive contrast. It's not even a complicated campaign. We have the receipts, he said. We have the best 3-year record of any modern American presidency, period, full stop. And you look at the issue by issue, they poll overwhelmingly. The American people support what Biden has done. What do you mean overwhelmingly? Who are you asking, and who's the people asking this? You didn't even sort. You didn't even cite the report that you're talking about. What, is this a CNN poll conducted on CNN watchers on live TV during the 3 o'clock mark? That's probably the people that they asked here. Oh, click 1 on your TV if you want to vote yes. Click 2 on your TV if you want to click no. And all of the people that actually have cable TV, number 1, are the grandmas and the grandfathers that are sit down all day long and being indoctrinated by CNN. So yeah, the majority of those people are going to say whatever CNN wants them to say, but the majority of Americans are not in support of Joe Biden because they see the economy crippling. It's on fire. They see the rest of the world on fire. They see gas prices. They see the price of meat at the grocery store. They see the cost of living going up exponentially. They see the average house going up, making it unable to actually afford a house. So they see all of these things. Everything Joe Biden has done, he failed on. He failed us, the American people, more broadly. He failed us. Remember this in November. He made sure that there's 3 people that are now dead in the Middle East because he was weak on foreign policy. He made sure that Russia was unsure if they could go into Ukraine or not. He's weak on foreign policy. He's going to make sure that the Middle East is unstabilized. That is weak foreign policy. It's not even weak. It's on purpose. He's done all of these things on purpose because he has an agenda to push. He makes sure that the whole entire world is collapsing so he can go back to his donors and say, look what I did. But, do you want me to fix it? Then give me 4 more years. That's exactly what Joe Biden will do, and it's disgusting. With that being said, we do have another article from the Daily Wire. We have Ted Cruz questions taxpayer-funded television service over diversity fund that excludes white people. A public organization that costs American taxpayers $17 million a year should not be a vehicle for left-wing nonsense, Texas Republican says. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas, is pressing a taxpayer-funded television service over the existence of a diversity fund that appears to discriminate against white filmmakers and violate the Civil Rights Act, according to the letter obtained by the Daily Wire. On Thursday, Cruz questioned the independent television service, the ITVS, a congressionally chartered production service funded by taxpayers, over its diversity development fund, a research and development scholarship for up to $35,000 that is available for exclusively directors of color. In a letter to ITVS, a CEO, Carrie Lozanio Cruz, said that the organization should make the fund available to applicants of all races, and said that the organization appears to be biased towards liberal filmmakers. Because white filmmakers are visibly unable for the seed money, the fund runs afoul of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Section 1981 of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Cruz wrote. I therefore urge you to remove the race as an eligibility criterion for the Diversity Development Fund. ITVS can surely pursue its mandate to expand diversity and innovativeness of public programming without violating the law. ITVS gets about $17 million per year in taxpayer funds in the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, according to ITVS. The diversity fund has been used to make 156 funds and is only available to filmmakers who identify as a person of color. Cruz is a ranking member of the Senate Committee on Commerce. Okay, everybody knows who Ted Cruz is. It's just, obviously, this is disgusting. Then this is what they've been doing for years and years. There's scholarships that only black people can go and get. And there's also other colleges that if you apply to, you will not get in. But if you're black, there's a different standard that they set for black people compared to white people. Just like in United Airlines, they will allow black people to get in at a lower standard just because of the color of their skin. And the white man has to go, and then they have to face this criteria that is a way more in actual strictness than it is for the black person just because of the color of their skin. It's disgusting. DEI is a joke, and DEI is disgusting. We need to remember this in November. We need to. This is disgusting, and this is all happening under Joe Biden. Did this happen under Trump? No, it didn't, because Trump is way better than Joe Biden on every single front. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. This is going to do it for this week. And join me on Sunday because I do react to Ice Spice's new song, You Think You're the Fart, You Think You're the Shit, You Are Not Even the Fart. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.